Hello, hey, I'm Wally Carmichael. I first want to say thank you to James for allowing me to be a part of this amazing project. It's taken me a little while to actually put my story together and present it the way I want to present it to you specifically. And you know what? I just decided I'm just going to put it out there. Now, I'm not going to share every facet of everything that I've been through in my life, good and bad, because there is so much to tell. But not all of it's really relevant to the message that I want to share with you specifically. I will give you a little bit of my background. Some of the stuff that I won't really get into is some of the sexual abuse that I dealt with when I was a very, very young child in the form of pornography in the house, infidelity that I saw on my dad's side, and drugs and alcohol abuse. All that type of stuff occurred early in my life. Even into my teenage years, there was a sexual incident that I don't feel is really relevant to what I want to share with you today, but that is out there. That's another story to be told another time. But I grew up most of my that I can remember my teenage years into sixth grade on into high school. I grew up. I lived in a trailer, a single wide trailer behind another man's house. My parents couldn't even afford the trailer park. I don't know how they got a hold of this trailer. I think somebody actually just gave it to them because the darn thing was run down and the interior was actually carpeted, literally wall to wall. When I say wall to wall, I mean like on the walls, on the ceiling, because my dad installed carpet for a living and he thought that would be cool, which was cool for me and my brother because we had cats in the house a lot and they always had kittens. So we used to throw them to the wall and like Velcro, and they would. We were just crazy kids. To say white trash, that would probably be a good that image, the mullet, the long blonde hair, that type of stuff. Yeah, that was me growing up. And then my mom finally got fed up with my dad's BS, and she had an out. Another man that at the bar, because we used to go to the bar. My parents used to go to the bar almost every single day. So of course, me and my brother were there until we were old enough to stay home alone, and we spent a lot of time home alone. My brother and I, taking care of each other from an early age. And there was a guy at the bar who basically gave my mom an out. He told her, if you ever went out of that situation, you have a place to come, and he left it at that. Well, finally one day my mom took him up on that offer, and it just pissed me off. I was so angry at this point in my life at this man who had split up our family. That was what was going on in my mind. In reality, my dad split up our family. And that ultimately ended up being the best thing that my mom could have ever done for herself because she became a completely different person once she made the decision to do that. Now, when my parents divorced, I went and lived with my mom, and my brother and my dad took that single wide trailer and towed it out to the middle of the desert. And they lived out there for several months with no utilities, nothing hooked up to it. They were just in that trailer out there. And I decided to go live with my mom because I knew that the man that my mom was dating and soon married, they took off to Vegas and got married, and nobody knew about it. Um, he had a little bit more money. He was a little bit more stable, and he was a lot more stable actually. And I knew I would be able to continue my education, at least finished high school, to go on and do that. So that's something that I really um, wanted to do to get out of the situation that I was in. So I did that, and I ended up being the first person in my immediate family to graduate high school, let alone go on to college, which I did go on to college. So I went on to college. I gave up a scholarship in high school. I ran track. I was a freshman on the on the varsity team running track. That's how fast I was. Now, why was I fast? I was fast. I was a fast little white boy because I grew up in a neighborhood where it was a lot of gangbangers, predominantly Hispanics. And what that means is I was always running. I was either fighting or I was running. And if I knew that I wasn't had no chance of winning a fight, then I would run. And my little brother was one of these guys that was smaller than me, and I'm not a big man. He was smaller than me, but he had small man syndrome, and he talked crap to everybody. So every time, him and I looked a lot alike when we were younger. So guys always thought I was my brother, and I was never the one to start something, but I was going to stick up for my brother. So I ended up fighting or running. So by the time I got to high school, man, I was fast. I was super fast. So when I was a freshman in high school, I'm running on the varsity team. Well, I got a scholarship, but I didn't want to go to college at that point in time. What a dumbass, right? So I basically gave that up, and I ended up going to the same college that offered me a full ride scholarship, but paying for it, and ran out of money along the way. So I was working two full time jobs trying to raise money to get back into school because I felt that that was my way out of this situation of the drugs, the alcoholism, and the fighting that I was always getting into, and all that kind of stuff, right? So my uncle comes home on leave. He was a first sergeant in the army at the time, and he says, "Look, you join the military, join the army. You're going to get some education along the way, and you're going to be able to travel the world." And my answer was not no, but hell no. I had no desire to do that whatsoever. Well, that weighed on my mind. A couple weeks went by, working two full-time jobs in the restaurant industry nonetheless. I'm getting into doing things that I shouldn't be doing as far as illicit drugs because that's what was keeping me awake to allow me to do two full-time jobs. And at one point, I'm walking up a flight of stairs and I'm getting cramps in my legs because I'm so sleep deprived, so malnourished, and then I've got these other illicit drugs going on. And I looked in the mirror and I literally looked like Skeletor. My eyes were sunken in, and I just said, you know what, I got to do something. So I got cleaned up a little bit, got some rest, walked into the recruiter's office and said, hey, this is what I want to do. I want to be an Army combat medic. And they said, we don't have any openings for that. You can be infantry. I was like, no thanks, that's not what I want to do. So I left. By the time I got home, my mom said some Sergeant so-and-so called and left a message. And bottom line is they had 3 slots that just had miraculously opened up. So I joined the Army at the age of 20. And I, once I, from day one, when I joined the Army and I was on delayed entry, I finally got into basic training in El Paso, Texas. I loved it from day one because I realized that I needed that structure and discipline in my life. That's what was missing. I never had that. My first mentor, my first 2 mentors, my first real father figures, real men in my life, were my freshman football coach and my track coach. Both of these men were just amazing men in my life. But I wasn't with them all the time. I was with them during that season. And when I joined the military, when I joined the Army, Drill Sergeant Reed, Drill Sergeant Williams, these guys were just amazing in my life. So fast forward, went to Panama. My first duty station was Panama City, Panama, Central America. I did 2 years. I'm there as a young man making money, not a lot of money, but for a young man at that age in another country, making really good money, traveling all over South and Central America, and just I had 2 goals in life at that point in time back then: get drunk or get laid. That was it. That was my 2 goals, and I was bound to do one of the 2, and generally it was getting drunk. So 2 years of that, almost 2 years of that, I was burned out. I was done. I was done with that lifestyle. I was really calming down. And then I got introduced. There was a guy that was living in the barracks with me, and he was dating a Panamanian woman, and they wanted to introduce me to this woman who would later become my wife. It was a blind date. We went out. We didn't hit it off right away, but about the time her and I met, my dad had died in a car accident. We had met, and then I had deployed to Honduras, and I was in Honduras when my dad died in a car accident. Flew home to Phoenix, Arizona, where I grew up at, from Honduras, then went back to Panama, waiting to get back into Honduras, and Tracy and I were talking, and I was pushing everybody away at this point in my life, pushing everyone away. I wanted nothing to do with anybody, and Tracy is the one person that stuck by my side the whole time. And it was just, we didn't know where our relationship was going to go. And our relationship was already kind of weird anyway because her mom and aunts, and she's got quite a few aunts, did not want her dating an American. Nothing against Americans, but just soldiers come and go all the time. So they had dealt with that. They didn't want Tracy to go through that. So the way what I did was when Tracy and I were talking on the phone one day, and she was whispering. And I said, Tracy, is your mom there? And she said, yeah, she's right here. That's why I'm whispering. So I said, well, put her on the phone. And Tracy said in Spanish, "Are you crazy?" I said, "Yeah, a little bit. I am a little bit crazy. But I don't want you to be talking behind your mom's back. I don't want you talking to me behind your mom's back." So she put her on the phone, and they spoke. Panamanians speak Spanish, but Tracy's family always spoke Spanish and English in the house. So I talked to her, and I said, "Hey, look, I would like to come and meet you. I would like to come and meet the family. I don't know where Tracy and I's relationship is going, but what I do know is I like her. I like spending time with her, and I don't want her doing that behind your back. That's not right." So I met them, and from that point on, they blessed off on our dating, our relationship. Now, here in December of 2018, we will have been married 26 years, coming up on 26 years. And it's just been amazing. So, fast forward a little bit, we got stationed in Germany. Obviously, we got married and continued on with my military career. And I was always entrepreneurial. Even when I was a young man, I was always entrepreneurial. I was always the one that had the lemonade stand or trimming trees in the neighborhood. In the trailer park that John moved into, my mom remarried, we moved up to the trailer park. He had a double wide trailer. We moved into the trailer park. And they were going to say, the management was saying that if you don't cut your trees in your area, then we're going to charge you $30 for the guy to come around and cut your trees. So I said, great, I'll charge everybody $25. And I took my stepdad's chainsaw and went around and cut everybody's trees for them. That's the things I've been doing. And I was always chasing after, this freedom. I wanted this freedom. And I was always trying to start some sort of new business. I got into multi-level marketing when I was in Germany and did that for 5 years. 5 years, and went $30,000 in credit card debt just trying to build that business. And my wife was always saying, "Wally, what the hell are you chasing?" Because I would come home from work when I wasn't deployed. Even when I was deployed, I was showing the plan when I was deployed in Albania and whatever country I was in. And so I'm constantly doing this. And you got to understand, what I would tell my wife is, look, I'm doing this because I want the freedom. I don't want this lifestyle anymore. And the lifestyle was, at 7 years of marriage in the Army, with all of my deployments and schools and field exercises, we had literally been together. We had physically been together less than 3 years because of all of my deployments. And there were 2 occasions when I came home, my youngest boy didn't even know who I was. Twice. That's hard on a man. And I just didn't want that. But at the same time, I'm trying to build this multi-level marketing business and do all these other side hustles and putting us deeper and deeper in debt. And the stress was so much, at one point my wife's hair was falling out. I don't know if you can relate to that kind of stress, but I was putting a lot of stress on the family. So we got out of debt. We worked some things out. We worked with some agencies, finally got out of that credit card debt. And I did it again several years later when we were stationed in Hawaii. I got into another multi-level marketing business. I'm not bashing on multi-level marketing. I'm just telling you my experience. I spent a lot of money, almost another $30,000 in credit card debt, just trying to build this other business. And I just feel that I represent that guy that seems to be doing all the right things in life, reading all the right books, reading Jim Rohn and Brian Tracy and Zig Ziglar and Tony Robbins and all this kind of stuff. I did that for years and years and years, and I just wasn't getting ahead. I was always struggling. We were always struggling, and I always had everything around me. So I just couldn't figure out what to do until one day. I'm on the beach in Hawaii, and I'm already retired. At this point, we're fast forwarding a lot, because at this point I'm retired from the military. I did 25 years as an Army medic, and I'm retired. I'm sitting on the beach. I'm still working a civilian job though, and I'm sitting. It was a Saturday morning, early in the morning, about 7:30 in the morning, and sitting on the beach, literally in front of my house, on the west side of Oahu in Hawaii. And we had this gazebo out there, and I'm sitting there. I'm drinking my coffee. My son's playing in the water, in the waves. My wife is asleep, and my middle son is asleep in the house behind me. My oldest is off doing his own thing, and my youngest is in the water yelling, looking back at me, Dad, come and play, come and play. And I'm like, no, just hold on, because I'm sitting here, and I literally had a headset like this on my phone there, my coffee, and I've got these in my ear. I'm watching my son, but I'm listening to a podcast trying to figure out how to make more money and how to live the life of my dreams and how to live free. Now, here I am living in Hawaii. I'm already earning over $600,000 a year, and that's one of the things I've been chasing. And I'm on the beach, living in a dream that many people dream their whole life and never actually get to live. And my son is there asking for me to come and play in the water. And as I wave him off, his facial expression changes from excitement to disappointment. And at that point in time, it was like, it's hard to explain. I just heard this voice in the back of my head saying, "Wally, what the hell are you chasing?" And it was my wife's voice, and it startled me. I actually turned around, and there was nobody there. She was probably still asleep back in the house, or I know she was, because when we went back, she was asleep. And it just hit me. It hit me right then and there of everything that I had in my life. I took my headphones off. I set them on the table. I went out in the water, played unconditionally with my son, 100% attention on him. And he had a little boat out there, and we're playing around in the water. I'm throwing him into the waves. And then we get out, we go back to the house, we get showered off. I go inside, I make breakfast. And when my wife wakes up, I just give her a big hug. And it was that point that I had realized that I had been ungratefully chasing after the things that I wanted in life. And what I wanted in life at the time, while they weren't really material, it was the freedom. It was I thought that money was going to make the difference. But see, I got to the point where I was making the money, but I was still struggling. I was still cash poor because I'm putting all this money into these other ventures and this other stuff that didn't really matter as much as what I already had in my life. And once I was grateful for everything that I had in my life, the most amazing thing started to happen, which is exactly what Jim Rohn would say, Zig Ziglar, Brian Tracy, Tony Robbins, all of these guys would say. And the Bible says, once you're grateful for everything you have in your life today, much more will be given. And so much more started coming into my life at that point in time in the form of more relationships, stronger relationships, even more money. More opportunities started presenting themselves. And I'm talking real opportunities. Opportunities to be able to make a difference in somebody else's life. And once all of this started coming in, the thing I realized was it had always been there. But I had these blinders on because I wasn't grateful for what I already had in my life. And that's what made all the difference in my world. So then, about that same time, I started this podcast called Men of Abundance because I started to write a book called Living Your Life of Abundance. I realized it was a biography. It was more about my life and my journey. And while that is exciting to me, I didn't know that it would be exciting to anybody else. So I decided I wanted to collect stories from other men and women, mostly men, who are living a life of abundance and paying it forward somehow to the community and in some cases the world. And I wanted to know what their kick in the gut moments were, what those hard times were that they had in their life and how they overcame that and what they learned from that. So I started a podcast called Men of Abundance where I have these conversations with all these guys. And now 231 episodes up to this point, almost 2.5 years in, I have learned so much. I have grown so much as a man. I have been able to attend a live Tony Robbins event, Unleash the Power Within. I have been able to have conversations with Lee Cockerell, who used to be the CEO of Disney World Resorts, the CEO of the VP of Operations of Disney World Resorts for 10 years. And he lives right down the street from me here in Orlando. We finally moved out of Hawaii. I live here in Tampa, Florida area. And part of the reason is so that I can have my wife closer to home. And she's going to be flying home here real soon just to visit with her mom for Mother's Day, which is coming up in Panama. And so I could be closer to Disney World because I'm a Disney freak and we're there almost every weekend. We're going to be there this weekend. I'm just living this amazing life. And in the course of the Men of Abundance podcast, people started asking me, Wally, do you know how to will you coach me on living a life of abundance? 3 guys asked me this. Then a woman asked me, hey, my husband, we make good money, but he's disconnected from us at home. Would you coach him in living a life of abundance? And quite frankly, I had to tell all of them, I'm very humbled that you would ask me that, and I'm honored. But quite frankly, I don't know how to coach this, so I started hiring coaches and mentors to teach me how to build a coaching business and to teach me how to have these conversations with these guys to get them to the point that where I was at with all of my self peace, my gratefulness, my abundance, and so much that I have to offer other people. I just wanted to make sure I did that properly. I did not take that lightly, and I didn't want to just put something together just to do it because it's very, very important to me. So I did that, and now I've got the Abundance and Prosperity Mastery group that I'm building, just men, where I'm showing men and enhancing their lives. Because the way I see it, if I enhance a man's life, then I enhance his family, and that spills out into the community and the city, state, and so on and so forth. We're just making the community better. We make the world better. So that's my story. I'm the guy that represents the man that feels he's been doing the right thing his entire life, but still struggling or can't get to that next level. And my mindset, the way that I know how to do that, and the way I know how to show other men how to do that, is to basically through a series of courses that I've created and learn from other people. But the bottom line is this: be grateful with who you are today, and there's nothing wrong with wanting more. I always tell people I want more. I'm happy where I'm at. I'm happy with the relationships I have. I'm very grateful for all of that. On my way to more. And what I want more of is more amazing relationships like my friendship with James and all the other people that you have the opportunity to learn from and to learn their stories. And hopefully some of these stories will resonate with you and give you the inspiration to reach out to some of these people, to ask them for assistance and have them coach you and mentor you to living your best life. And that's all we want for you, is for you to realize that all of us have issues. All of us have things that we've been through. I call them those kick in the gut moments, and they're only going to keep us down if we let them keep us down. You have to make a decision to where you want to be and to move forward, and then make a plan and find a coach and a mentor that will help you get you there quicker. You can get there on your own. I assure you of that. You can get there on your own, but it will take much longer to do so. If you want to shorten the learning curve and you want to shorten the time frame that it will take for you to get from where you are today to that next level and beyond, then you absolutely must get into some sort of a community, a mastermind, a coach, a mentor, whatever it is that works best for you. Find that person or those people and get within close proximity of those people, because proximity is power. What I mean by that is you have to get into close proximity of the people that you want to emulate, the people that have the knowledge and the skills, the experiences, and the same desires, similar desires as you. All right? I hope I didn't babble on too much. I'm Wally Carmichael. I hope this has been helpful for you. James, again, thank you so much for everything that you do. You're absolutely awesome, and every one of you watching this are just super amazing, and I love every one of you.